Welcome to Level Up Tribes. Level Up Tribes provides resources to help you attain the necessary resources to level up your mind, body, and soul and realize your full potential. It is about exploring, learning, providing you with the tools from the experts for you to create a better version of yourself. I am your host, Agnes Goodwine, and welcome, Tribes. Today, we will be discussing creating healthy habits from writing your to-do list, journaling, and organizing your day with Habits and Lifestyles founder and author of Healthier Habits Create the Life You Want, Chesa Mendez. Welcome, Chesa.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Before we get started, I wanted to kind of share my story on how we met because it just happened so quickly. In that the other day, I was telling you how I felt like I knew you for like the longest time, and I was trying to track back on how we met. And we met through the Hike Life hiking group in Sedona, and then we found out that we lived in Levine, close to each other. And I reached out to you after learning everything that you do with your coaching, wanted to pick your brain. And so we joined a 5K race after that, and we practice our running techniques on Saturday mornings. How do you feel after the race?
I feel excited. I feel that the race itself and accomplishing it was empowering, and I want to continue with racing and, more importantly, training for the race itself.
Did you feel that energy when you got there and saw all those people that were just getting ready to run?
If I'm honest, I did not, because I was so anxious that my anxiety was blocking everything out.
It's like that for your first. This one was my third, but I'm so happy that we all made it to that race and we all did well. You did good. You finished it in 36 minutes. That's awesome for your first race.
Yes, I'm happy that we all ran together and cheered each other on and celebrated at the end. I thought that was amazing.
Yes. So we have more to do
Yes.
in the future. So let's get down to the nitty gritty of this interview. Want you to tell me about your background as a teacher and what triggered you to transitioning your skills to start your own business.
So I'm an educator, not by choice. It didn't start out that way. However, it ended that way, and it's exactly who I am and what I am. I would say me being an educator and transitioning to my own business, the skill that transferred over was for my workshops. Teaching the workshops, developing the curriculum, that's where my education helped me as far as my business is concerned.
Did you experience any fears before you took the leap to become an entrepreneur?
I did not.
No.
I experienced fears after.
Really? Explain that a little bit.
I didn't experience any fears when I took the leap to become an entrepreneur, because when I started my business, I was working, so I obviously had income. So there wasn't any fear that I would go through this period of having to sacrifice my way of life or my way of living. However, when I decided to create the program itself and put it all together, it was truly to help people, because I felt that there was a void in the world and in society, and it all, for me, went back to lack of self-love. And so when I came up with my company, I was like, oh, if we create these healthier habits to invest in ourselves and invest in our health and wellness, that's how you exemplify self-love. There's this movement of saying, oh, practice self-love. Self-love is important. However, no one tells you how to go about achieving self-love. And so when I started my business, I really wanted to help people, so there wasn't any fear.
You said that the fear came after.
The fear came after when you think about, like, how can this make money? How do you market yourself? What if people don't like it? When I was doing it more as a hobby, it was a business, but it was more like a hobby. Oh, post this tip, post, this strategy for people. It wasn't scary. It was just a post or a repost and things like that. But once it became like, oh, I want to move this into schools. I want to use this as a professional development for businesses. I want to coach people one-on-one. That's when it became scary. And that was after everything else had already been put in place.
Do you have a teaching philosophy that has carried over to your life coach business?
I don't know if it's a teaching philosophy, but I have a philosophy in life, and it's always to leave more than you take. So anytime I am walking into a meeting, to a business, to meet up with someone, or into my classroom, I always say leave more than you take.
Do you miss teaching?
I absolutely do
Well,
miss
you
teaching.
teach now, but do you miss being in the classrooms with, I think you had adult?
Yes. So my educational background is early childhood education. That's where I started teaching little kids, very small preschoolers, 4 and 5 year olds. And then I transitioned to college students. They're still young adults. I miss both. I miss the younger kids because they're sweet. It's a place to really make a difference. Representation matters. And then I miss my older students as well, just giving them tips and feedback and help guiding them through the process of becoming future teachers. So I actually do. I miss it.
You know, I have a love for educators because my husband is an educator, my son, my mother in law. I'm surrounded by educators. But being a teacher is so hard. Not, the politics of it. The teaching part comes easy and the relationships with the students come easy, but it's just a hard business to be in. And, some of you guys are very passionate about it. And I'm glad to see that you found an area where you can still teach and enjoy it and see the fruit of your labor coming back to you. So that's awesome. Your morning regimen, where you journal and you exercise and you have your to-do list, is there any time, and you do this every day, correct?
Yes.
Is there any time, or there has been any time, where your regimen it couldn't happen and something compromised it? Like what do you do?
So my morning regimen, that is correct. I journal, exercise, and I actually pray. I do my to-do list the night before on a good day. And there are times where it has to be compromised, whether I'm running late, meaning that I woke up late, or my children are not cooperating, even though they're teenagers, that happens. And so sometimes something has to go. And if I had to get rid of something, or if I couldn't get them all in, I would fit them in the evening. But if one thing had to go, it would be, or the one thing that I would not compromise, I apologize, would be my prayer. That would be the one thing that I would not compromise. Actually, you know what? As I reread this, the one thing I wouldn't compromise would be my exercise. Journaling, this is so tough.
I know.
Because journaling's only 3 minutes, right? So it's not a lengthy process. It's 3 minutes. Exercising, because I can pray anywhere. So I can pray as I'm driving to wherever I'm trying to go. So the one thing I probably would keep on that list is exercise, because it starts my morning.
And the reason I asked that, because with me, I was talking to you about managing my time better. It is so hard to keep a schedule and things that I want to do on that day, because I have so many interruptions that happen. And I want to get it to the point where nothing that I have on my to-do list when I wake up is compromised. And so you just gave me an idea to do my to-do list, if I can't do it that morning, to do it the night before. So that's a great suggestion. In regards to the exercise part and the prayer or meditation, whatever it is that anyone would like to do, you can do that anywhere. So those are great tips.
Also, those 3 things to me are equivalent to brushing my teeth or taking a shower. So they're not necessarily on my to-do list. My to-do list doesn't always get done, but I try to prioritize it to things that are time sensitive. And if I have something unexpected come up, I add that to my to-do list and I check it off. So I know that I spent my time wisely, and I know that I was actually doing something. What I tell everybody is my healthier habits are my part of my regimen, only take about an hour and a half to 2 hours of my day. Those 3 things are a must because they set the tone for my day. And when I don't want to do them, I think about the long-term benefits, and I think about how I want my life to look and how I want that day to flow. And those 3 things keep me on track. Even if I'm stressed, it still keeps me on track.
I want to get into your healthier habits and lifestyle business and the tools that you provide. Can you share with us your 56-day jumpstart program that you offer to your clients?
Absolutely. So on average, it takes about 66 days to start a habit. Sometimes you hear 21, you can hear longer than that, but on average, it's about 66 days. So the program itself is normally 66 days, but that's 2 weeks and 2 months and 2 weeks, a little lengthy for working adults. And since this is a jumpstart program, 56 days, 2 months, 8 weeks is a good enough time to work through the program. And what the program does is it covers all 6 steps that Habits and Lifestyles has created in order to help you create and maintain healthier habits. The first step is self-awareness, and we spend about 2 to 3 weeks on awareness of self, awareness of current habits. And then we move to the second step, which is to create the healthier habit, which is never what you think it's going to be. It's something small, it's something that's doable and manageable that's going to lead you to healthier habits in the future and to an overall goal. And then the third step is to learn the importance of tracking your habits. The fourth step is to measure your habits. The fifth step is to adjust them. And the sixth step is creating a list that will help you be proactive when life gets hard. So what can you do before you actually give up? And that's how the program runs. And we focus on something new each week. And then there's homework involved. There's 2 guest facilitators, a weekly meeting, one 30-minute phone call with me each week. I send emails and videos to encourage my clients.
And you currently have one going on at this time.
Yes, one is ending and another one will be starting April 15th.
I'm just curious. Do you have like a common habit that your clients, that you see common in your clients, whether that is exercising or what habit is that?
So one of the things that I see with all of my clients, one of the things about humans is we already know what to do. We know what to do. Our gut tells us what to do. Our age and wisdom tells us what to do. Sometimes we just forget or we lack confidence. So what I find is that someone may have taken a coaching program 5 years ago and they just stopped doing it. So this is a jumpstart to get you back on track to what you know to be right, or to remind you what you know to be right, or to give you encouragement. And I find that most people want their go big or go home mentality. That's the biggest thing. Everyone feels like I cannot start a diet if I don't have all of the things to juice. I cannot start a workout regimen if I do not have new tennis shoes. It's all these things that they tell themselves the reasons why they can't do it, versus something as simple such as creating a schedule the night before, which helps you with time management, which will eventually trickle into other things. You just have to be consistent. And so for those first 2 weeks, that's why we talk a lot about awareness of self and tips and tools on how to create willpower and desire.
I can actually connect with what you just said because, we all have bad habits, or some habits are good habits, like, exercising. I started my fitness journey a year ago. But prior to that, I thought that just walking for 30 minutes here and there was good. And I had in my head, like, okay, I want to be fit. I want to be able to run. But I wasn't really writing down those goals, like you said, and be specific and taking the baby steps to get to that level. And so sometimes, like you said, you think big, the big picture, but you don't chop off little bit by little to take it to that next level. And so I really think that's important. And going back to the journaling, which I used to do, and now meeting you, I'm doing that again. Thank you, Chesa. Is just writing those goals and taking the baby steps, at least completing that. And let's just go back to let's just talk about nutrition, for example, just knowing ahead of time what you want to eat that week and just taking it step by step, week by week. And you ultimately will meet those goals and it will become a good habit. Mm-hmm. But if you're just doing it here and there and revisiting, and not doing it consistently, is not going to stay. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why, I never knock anyone who's starting to walk, but if I just saw you walking, I would be like, you should be running, because I know your fitness level, right? And so I say walking is a good step, but we can't stay there if you want. And so the awareness part, what is your ultimate goal for yourself? Is it just to maintain and have like a healthy heart, or do you actually want to look like you work out? And that might require you to jog and to lift some weights and things like that.
Is that what you help your client to say, break down that goal a little bit?
Yeah, they break down the goal. So in my work, because I have a workbook, and then they also get a lifestyle portfolio. And inside of both, it says, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you look at it quarterly. What are you going to do this month to get to this goal? What are you going to do next month to get to this goal? So it all depends on what your overall goal is. If you see yourself, and most goals start with research. If you don't necessarily know what you're doing, you have to research. And then when you go from there, so that might be something as simple as Google 3 nutrition websites, and see what they're saying, what's going on out there. And after you have that information, okay, so now I'm going to start to prepare 3 meals out of 7 at home. And then the adjustment piece, right? So now you're doing your 3 meals and you're on track, but you can push yourself a little bit so you can continue to grow. Okay, now I'm going to prepare 5 meals out of 7. Now I'm preparing 6 meals out of 7 days a week at home. On that 7th day, we go out to eat or whatever. And so it's all about adjusting so that you can continue to grow, and also so you don't become complacent and get tired and then just stop doing it altogether.
Chesa, is there a habit that you are working on?
Oh, yeah, constantly. So I'm constantly working on habits. I'm constantly growing. One of the things I love about the brand itself is that it's a sustainable lifestyle brand. To most people, they might say, hey, I don't see her 6-pack, and that's fine. You don't. But you also didn't know that I used to weigh 295 pounds. So for me, I'm at a weight where I can still enjoy life. I don't want to have a diet that's so restrictive to where I'm not happy. That's just me personally. So my healthier habits, because I don't use the word necessarily good or bad, I use healthier and less healthy. My healthier habits work for me and my lifestyle, and I create the life I want for the desired lifestyle. If I want to enjoy dinner with pasta with my children, I want to do that. I don't want to be restrictive. But also I know doing that won't get me necessarily the 6-pack that I want,
Right.
And so the other thing about adjusting is you can decide if that adjustment is long-term or short-term. Do I want to slim out for summer? And for summer, I might cut pasta the entire summer. And then in winter, I might go back to normal. So yeah, I'm constantly working on habits. I do sometimes forget. And one of the things about the business is it reminds me as well of to be authentic about what I'm sharing with other people, to do that in my personal life. So if I'm focusing on money, I know to be mindful of how I spend. And that's really what it's about, being mindful of how you're spending, being mindful of how you're eating, being mindful of your physical activities and things like that.
Has your healthier habits impacted your children, your family members? Have they seen, because you look great.
Thank you.
Have they used some of the tools that, just by watching you and seeing you transform, have they used some of that?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say habits are generational. They are passed down because your children are watching you. So I've been doing this, I want to say, since 2015. So 4 years about. And my children, they prefer home cooked meals. They are split between my house and their father's house. And so when they come home, they're like, we have healthier options here, or they don't necessarily say that, but they're like, you cook real food. We're not just eating fast food or something like that. What else do? They practice a lot of self-care as far as quiet time. They mask their face. I know that's external. They've learned how to set healthy boundaries, because I set boundaries with them. Even though they're my kids, there's boundaries. I'm mom, but I'm still a person. What else do they mimic? Not so much of the physical activity, but I would want to say the food and just the healthy boundaries are something that I notice that they do.
Where do you see yourself and your business in the next 5 years?
I see my business doing more professional developments with companies, being an option such as, so when you go to a job and HR offers you benefits, they might offer you packages such as massages, 5 massages, 5 mental health visits with a therapist, or a discount to a health club. I see my business being one of those options, to actually work with people to get to more of the why you're doing what you're doing, and how to incorporate smaller things in your life that will last a lifetime. It's not a fad. Habits and lifestyles is not a fad. It can't be a fad, because habits are things that we do every day. So it's not a fad diet. Nothing against fad diets, but they come and they go. We have to learn how to live as people and just make better choices for ourselves on a daily basis, because at the end of the day, we're worth it. And we should be doing that for ourselves.
I have to thank you, because you gave me that extra nudge to do what I'm doing now. And we talked about it a lot. You are a great coach. I was so terrified to start this. And, I had it all in my head. And you were like, you just have to do it. And you gave me resources. And thank you for that. And you're doing great work. I follow you on Facebook and your posts and everything you put out there. And everything is relatable.
Thank you. And you're welcome. I'm happy that for whatever reason, we were drawn to each other on that trip and that we connected outside of that. And then it moved into this.
Please share your information, where listeners can find you.
Okay, so a class is currently ending. Another online class will start April 15th, 2019. And you can get more information about the 56-day Jumpstart program at habitsandlifestyles.com, plural habits, plural lifestyles. Also, all social media outlets are habits and lifestyles. And my email address is info@habitsandlifestyles.com.
Thank you, Chesa. And I will sign up for the class in June. I think you have another one in June.
Yes.
Because I've only gotten a little bit of you, and so far it has impacted me a lot. So I can't wait to take your class.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me. And I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to go far with this. Don't forget, we all are working through fears. You just do it.
Yes.
You just got to do it.
Thank you for listening. Please visit the website at www.leveluptribes.com. And please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. Catch you all next time, my beloved tribes.